give you a basic introduction to coding in Scratch. Scratch is entirely web-based, so you don't need to install anything or get any software. Just get on a computer that is connected to the internet and go to the website scratch.mit.edu, which, as you've seen, I've already done here. So the first thing you want to do if this is your first time approaching Scratch is to join Scratch here by clicking this button. It'll ask you for the usual things like a name and your email address, and carry that all the way through to the very end, including when Scratch sends you an email to validate your email address, because it gives you the very powerful ability to share your Scratch work, which we'll want to do in this workshop. So if I've already done that, and so I'm just going to go ahead, instead of joining Scratch, I'm just going to sign in. And my username is in here, and there we go. And so once I'm in, then what I'm going to do is you can certainly browse all of the things that other people are doing with Scratch, but at the moment we'll just stick to our goal of getting an introduction to Scratch out there. So I'll click on the Create button up here. And when I do that, it takes me to the main Scratch work area. This is where you'll spend most of your time in Scratch, and believe it or not, this is your coding environment for Scratch. So let me point out the different areas that you'll be working with. The first thing is the cat right here, which you see. And as you begin coding, believe it or not, your job is to write code that controls the cat. At the first level, that is the point of Scratch, is to see how well you can do with writing code, as I said, to control the cat. So right off, you can see there's some things about the cat that you might be familiar with from your math classes. In particular, the cat has an X and a Y coordinate. And so if I click and drag the cat around, you can see that the X and Y coordinates change. So there's a lot of built-in similarities with math that you might recognize. You can also change the angle of the cat by either typing in an angle or dragging the slider here. We'll keep it at 90 degrees as we get started with this. And the other thing you can do is you can change the size of the cat. You can make it twice as big if this is a 200 in here, or you can make it normal size, 100 like that, 100% if you want. And so there's a lot of things you can play with the cat that already have some foundations in mathematics, although that is not necessarily our goal here. But these things like the position and the size will be useful as we get on doing things with the cat. So let me put the cat back at 0, 0, where we like to start, and let me move on to another area of the screen. So you look over here on the very left portion, you see a bunch of colored dots, and these sort of serve as the category organization for what you can do with the cat. So the blue blocks are always for motion or moving the cat. The purple blocks are for changing the looks of the cat. The pinkish blocks are for playing sounds, making the cat play sounds, so you want to make sure the volume on your computer is turned up. Events are things that can happen in the Scratch programming environment, like you hitting things or you clicking things, or you making the cat do things. We can control the cat in different ways that we'll talk about, and there's sensing operators, variables, and blocks, which may or may not come up in our course of programming here. Let me go back to motion. So the next thing that you'll notice is this big blank part right here, and this is where you'll actually do your coding. So let me just show you an example of what you can do. For instance, if I go to this first block here, which is move the cat 10 steps, if I put that in here and then click on it, you can see that the cat moves 10 steps. So you see you've already begun to do some coding here. You've made the cat move 10 steps, and yes, it's perfectly okay to change this 10 to 100, for example. You can see the cat moves farther even off the screen. And we can change the 100, say, to a negative 100, and that'll have the effect of moving the cat backwards. So see, you're well in control of the cat already in terms of moving it. The other thing we like to do, instead of always coming in here and clicking on this block, is let's go to the control area over here, and you can see that the events block over here, and you can see that there's a block that says when the green flag is clicked, and there's a green flag right there. So if we drag this over like this and connect it, all Scratch is made to have these interconnecting programming blocks, almost like a big puzzle, then you can sort of read out the logic in English to yourself. It says, when the green flag is clicked, move 10 steps. So, okay, looks like if I click this green flag, indeed the cat moves 10 steps. So we like to start our Scratch program this way because it sort of gives us all a common place to start. We're all going to say when we click the green flag, we'll get started. And then what Scratch does is it looks at the blocks and just sort of executes them or makes them work on the cat one at a time. So in the next video, we'll take this procedure here a little bit further and look at doing some more advanced things with the cat.